It starts with a leader. She's got a vision.
I want to put women in politics.
I want to develop dignity and self-respect. I want to spread that.
Economic transformation. You make that wheel turn, everything else will turn with it.
She could be an entrepreneur, a human rights advocate, or a parliamentarian. She recognizes a problem in her community and she commits to solving it.
It's all about justice. If you don't have justice, you don't have a fair life.
If we're going to create a democracy rather than just something that stops the gun, we want something which is different than what went before.
We search the world for these leaders. We see what they do. We see that they know better than anyone what needs to be done. So we partner with them to make their vision a reality.
So I have the pleasure of being here today at Voices of Solidarity events, honoring men who work and are advocates for women who are suffering from abuse or have suffered from abuse, whether it's domestic violence, sexual assault, or more. Stay tuned. Up next, my interview with South African activist, social activist, Mr. Bafana Khumalo, and former NFL player, Mr. Don McPherson. That is very important. And what inspired me to come here tonight is knowing your involvement with Voices of Solidarity. I want to know what connected you to this organization.
Well, I was invited by Vital Voices many years ago in a workshop in DC, where they were also honoring some other men who have been doing excellent work. And one of them was Dr. Mukwege, a friend from the DRC, who is doing a lot of work in a hospital that he founded himself called the Panzi Hospital. And I think lifting a voice of somebody like that in a country that is facing a lot of challenges with regards to the conflict situation and how this has been affecting women and young girls in that area. And a man who could have worked anywhere in the world as a medical doctor, but chose to remain in his community and make a difference, particularly in surgery that was helping women who are forced into the war situation, who have been raped, or who have been facing female genital cutting, and he had to deal with fistula complications to try and do surgical reconstruction so that these women can carry on with their lives in as normal a way as possible. And I think I've been impressed with Vital Voices because I can't think of many organizations that would find someone like Dr. Mukwege in such a country and lift the work that he is doing, and therefore challenge other men leaders to say you can make a difference wherever you are in ensuring that we affirm women's dignity in this world.
Mr. McPherson, I know that unfortunately in the NFL we've heard many cases of domestic violence in particular. And as you know, Voices of Solidarity works to help and defend the rights of these women. How do you, coming from the NFL, being a former player, feel about those unfortunate situations today?
Well, I think the situations in the NFL, while they are so much in the public eye, really represent a very, very, very minute number of the overall cases of men's violence against women in our society. And if anything, the NFL and what's happened there should create a broader dialogue about men's roles in preventing men's violence against women and not looking just at those incidences that happen in the public eye, that happen in front of millions of people that the NFL warrants the platform. And that's the work that really needs to occur. It needs to occur with men of all sectors of our society, of all backgrounds in our society, to stand up and be a part of the prevention of all forms of men's violence against women.
And you made a very important point. It's not so much what we see. There's so much of that we don't see that happens every minute, every second of every day in so many parts of the world. But particularly, I want to know, how do you get involved with Voices of Solidarity, and how do you feel being honored tonight for your tireless work and being an advocate for so many women that are being abused?
Well, I think the first thing about being honored, I think it's very humbling because I'm here because of those women that you just mentioned. I'm here because of the women who have died, who have fought, whose voices would not be silenced by the violence. And that's how I got involved in this work, was listening to those women, listening to the people who educated me on this issue. And that's really what happened. I was a student athlete in college who was doing programs on drunk driving and other social issues. not understanding that men's violence against women was my issue as a man. And far too often we call it a women's issue, which allows men to ignore it, which allows us not to look at our place in it. And the reality is, if we're going to end it, we have to see it as a men's issue. We have to see it as something that men have to own our behavior. We have to own the culture of misogyny, sexism, homophobia, that not just leads to the violence, because the violence still is the minority of men, but it's the silence from the majority of men that allows it to continue to happen.
This is a wonderful group called Vital Voices that I am a founding board member of the last 17 years. Really important group. And there are more and more of them, but this is very successful. It's located now in 144 countries. Really finding and empowering emerging entrepreneurs, women in, there's about 15,000 now. They give them the tools they need to go back into their community and create the dreams that they have to enrich their community. And then that spreads out and they touch another 100,000 after that, 100,000 after that, 100,000. So tonight's event is about celebrating and bringing in men that support women, that support this need that we have at the world level to bring women to in every way. The world will not heal unless we can literally bring women to the table in every way, to share leadership in an economic way, political way, environmental way. And this is the beginning of really acknowledging some men that have been very, very important helping to empower boys and men to change the dialogue. And that's what tonight's event is about. And more and more now, these kinds of groups, and there are several of them, even though I think Vital Voices is of the most important, really looks at the men that are also involved in doing just this, not only in empowering women, but in helping to change the language that men and boys use about women, which therefore changes how they treat women, violence against women, and the feeling that they have the right to subjugate women, even in this country, or from the Latin American countries, or the rest of the world. That has to change. So that's what this is about.
I definitely agree with macho attitude and all different ethnic backgrounds. I think definitely needs to be addressed. And I do really like the motive behind it. That it's not something, it is raising awareness, but at the same time prevention. Yes, preventing all these young adults to change their way to talk and think.
It really is, the focus for so long has been on women, because women have been jumping up and down and saying, we need to look at how we're allowing ourselves to be treated like this. But in the meantime, boys have been ignored in a weird way. And their ignored is in as much of a tight and restricted box as women do. They're not allowed to be fully humans that were meant to be, because they have to live in this world of being masculine. And that's false. And it disallows them the opportunity to be all the things that they were meant to be in this world. And that dialogue needs to start if you have children, young children, who they are, how they think of themselves, what masculinity is, and how they think of their people.
Vital Voices became part of my family. It helped me to realize that I do not have limits.
There is someone there for you. There's a woman somewhere in the world that is ready to support you.
We offer training, mentoring, and connections.
It's giving us space. It's providing an opportunity. It's opening a door. That is Vital Voices.
Over time, we consistently see 4 things happen. she brings her vision to life.
I had promised my people that I would build a school, and I delivered.
Today, we have markets for every single one of the products that we make.
She shifts culture.
They stood up for their daughters. For me, they were the real heroes.
The kids are growing, knowing that it's wrong to beat a woman.
Now we have trainings for mothers and fathers, talking about issues that they would never have talked about.
She gains global recognition as a leader.
I'm now another woman, a powerful woman, a leader woman.
And she reinvests in her community and beyond.
When you take a step forward, you turn around and pull somebody else into that space, and then they pull somebody else.
And this is what I'm trying to do, is telling other women, you are leaders.
It's not about how much I improve my life, it's how much we improve as a group.
This is the power of Vital Voices. We find extraordinary women leaders, and we do everything we can to maximize their impact, to extend their reach, and to make the world a better place. Not just for women, for everyone.
Vital Voices give us the exposure, the tools, the platform, but it is our fight.